Jose Aldo, my man, he is sipping out of that fountain of youth that Manny Pacquiao was. It has to be the case, and the reason why I say that is because, listen, Rob Font was sharp, jab was working all night long, but it was not good enough because Jose Aldo, excuse me, his power was too much. What did you make of this matchup, AJ?
Yeah, like you said, man, the power of Aldo was too much. The hands, too, man. The hands were looking good. The fact that Aldo was able to drop Font a couple times, very impressive. Spoke levels. And once Font got dropped in the first, it kind of looked like it was all downhill from there. Don't get me wrong, though. The jab of Font was working very nicely. Had Aldo a little bruised up going into the fourth and fifth. But still, man, that Jose Aldo's a timeless wonder. Hell of a fight. Very back and forth. I had it scored the same way. I didn't really see. I had a 49, 46, whatever that math is, but very impressive for Jose Aldo going forward, man.
One of my questions is to you is it me or did it seem like watching the fight that the striking was much closer than what the judges gave it? You know what I mean? Like, to me, like, it seems like a domination win for Jose Aldo, but when you're watching it, it was very hard fought. It was back and forth. It wasn't just one-sided. I think some of those rounds too, Jose Aldo only won the round because he snuck in a knockdown like at the end or at the beginning, or that power was just the difference in that. Because Rob Font fought his ass off, man. Like, this was not a bad performance whatsoever. Do you agree with that? Is the on paper, like, if you didn't watch the fight and you just looked at it on paper, you probably would have thought it was a completely different fight, right?
Yeah, I think the on paper scoring has that biases where we're not really looking at it just because Aldo was sneaking the rounds. He knew how to win the round at the end when it counted the most, and being so back and forth, the judges really didn't have an exact moment in which they were like, "Oh yeah, this guy definitively won." Until Jose Aldo would sneak those drops at the end or however he was getting it done. Very impressive. But honestly, man, Rob Font, if you look at how he was playing it, he fought his fight. He fought really good. It's just Jose Aldo knew those little bit of ways to get around it, man.
I mean, that's what being a two-time featherweight champion does for you. You know what I mean? One of the best in the game. And that's the key right there is those intangibles, that experience, man. It's second to none. And for Jose Aldo, man, he's basically said, okay, I've improved my boxing since fighting Piotr Jan. I've shown that I can do the top control thing like I did against Chito Vera. Against Rob Font, he literally combined both of those aspects to win the fight. Were you surprised that Rob Font tried to engage in the grappling in the first round?
Very. Yeah. I guess we don't really think of Jose Aldo as the grappling guy. I mean, we proved it in Marlon or the Chito Vera fight where he's able to get it done, but we don't think of him as that crazy grappler who's going to be going. But this dude's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Like, he always has that in his pocket, no matter what. Interesting to see for Rob Font. Maybe he wanted to test it to prove that he has some chops on the ground as well. But that's levels to that game.
Well, that's the thing about Jose Aldo. He said he was like his dream was to become a soccer player, but he couldn't because he's from Rio de Janeiro, and all they produce is just incredible BJJ players. So, you know what I'm saying? He was all like, yeah, man, this is what I had to do. I had to do jiu-jitsu. I'm from Brazil. What do you expect, you know? But I thought the jab of Rob Font, man, it was money all night long, but it seems like there was a very clear power difference, and this is what we talked about coming into this fight, that Jose Aldo is the big man coming from featherweight down. You know, he has the reach. He has the size. Rob Font isn't that big behemoth of a bantamweight that he normally is against some of these other fighters, man. So what's interesting to me is it's crazy to say that it's 2021 and Jose Aldo is very firmly, clearly in the title picture at bantamweight right now. You know what I mean? He says he wants to fight TJ Dillashaw next. We'll see where we go with that one. But do you think, right, with this win right here, AJ, Jose Aldo has solidified and confirmed that at bantamweight, he's just as good, maybe if not a little bit better than, you know, his kind of waning years at featherweight?
Yeah, I think so, man. I think this is the fight that proved it for sure. Yeah. Either way, whichever one won, it was kind of that solidifier of the fight. But I think this one for Jose Aldo, it really proves that he's the real deal going forward. That big man coming down, having that power, and that's what we were talking about in the pre-show, is if how Rob Font would handle the power and the size of Jose Aldo. Well, there was a very clear power differential going forward, and I think it's the same for a lot of the other fighters, man. It's going to be a hard role to toll going forth for the rest of the 135-pound division.
Now, final question on this matchup, AJ. Does Jose Aldo have the cardio to become a champion in this division? Because it seemed like that was definitely a big problem for him hitting rounds 4 and 5. What do you think?
Well, yeah, it definitely seems that way, and he's always kind of, even in the Piotr Jan fight, you know, you get into those 4th and 5th rounds, you really start to wane and drop down. It's going to be interesting to see because that seems like that's his one glaring hole in his game plan is that gas tank.
Bold prediction, AJ. Does Jose Aldo in the year 2022 become a bantamweight champion?
Very bold prediction. Yeah, I'm gonna say yes, man. I think he can get it done. I think it's if what's it called, if not Piotr Jan, Aljo Sterling is able to get it done, I think Jose can beat him.
Okay.
Now, will he be able to beat Piotr Jan? I don't know. That's a hard one.
I mean, didn't do it the first time. I don't know if he'd be able to do it the second. Then again, it was his first fight at bantamweight, so I don't know. All right, well, that's the main card, man. This was a fun slate of fights, a lot of upsets on the card overall, man. I could not be happier about just a sleeper card like this, man, because this wasn't the most hyped up thing. And then for this last bout right here, Rob Font and Aldo hit the over at -145, man. Went decision, so you know what time it is right there.